I had 26 or so positions.
Okay.
And the percentages I've made up to a couple of days ago, well, I mean Friday, that was about 70% or thereabouts of my
17, 17? 70% on your portfolio?
In 2 months.
That is extraordinary.
This one of the other things I did actually, Marcus, was to write down some goals.
Okay.
So that was one of the first things I did, was to figure out what goals I was trying to achieve. So I aimed quite high, and I didn't quite meet my goal, to be honest. But I suppose.
In 2 months?
I suppose 35% a month isn't bad, is it? Really?
I would say that was very good indeed. By the way, what did you hope to get out of trading and investing?
I hope to get out of trading and investing a kind of, let's say, a bit of freedom from having to go to work. My name's Chris Heath. I live in Newquay, Cornwall. Beautiful place, by the way. Empty beaches for the last couple of months, which has been marvellous. I work as an electronics design engineer. My experience of trading and investing before Investment Mastery was many years ago. I came across a mail shot, I think it was, and it looked good to me. So I tried, as you might call it, dabbling, but with strategies with some well-known people, which I thought should be successful, and I never seemed to be successful at all with what I was doing. I tried for mostly indices, but it just didn't gel. I just didn't make any money. In fact, I lost several £1,000s.
Okay, so what percentage was that though? Because that's important. What percentage was it? Because you could have had 10 million.
Oh, right. It was probably 50% of what I had.
50%. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was this? Was this an online course? Was it a workshop? What were you doing?
These were two different people. One, he was a trader in London, and he basically put on quite large positions, and he sold his course as actually went to a seminar, a one-day seminar, and got the strategy from there, but he didn't really explain it really well.
Yeah, you didn't go on the actual course. Is that?
He actually taught you before you went on the course, but the amounts he was using ridiculously high. I didn't really have enough knowledge to know that I was doing the wrong thing.
So was it like a taster, and therefore you didn't get all the rules?
Basically, he would literally give you a weekly list of assets to trade in.
Okay.
And so the week was too long, really, for me. It just, and the amounts were too big. It just didn't, it just made me lose money, basically.
Okay, so you were down 50%.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you discovered Investment Mastery. Did you come on our one day, or did you talk to somebody?
Yes, sorry. I came on the one-day course, I think in January, which was quite a trip from Newquay. But I'd spoken to one of your guys on the phone, and I quite liked the approach. It was a very gentle approach, and I then looked at a couple of webinars that you had done, and I quite liked your approach. So I thought,
okay.
And the idea of 20 minutes a day was quite appealing, because I have a full-time job.
Of course.
So so I went on that one-day course.
So you then decided to do the workshop?
Yes, because I liked what I saw on the one-day event. I decided to do the workshop, which was 3 days, full-on 3 days.
Yes, full-on. Okay. So is that good or bad? I don't know. So what was the best thing about the workshop? What did you like the most about it?
The best thing for me about the workshop, the 3-day workshop that I attended, was the emphasis on the mindset. that really struck a chord with me because I'm a long-term meditator, and it kind of gelled with me about how important your mindset is, as well as the learning strategies for trading. And you kept mentioning Harv Eker's book, The Secrets of a Millionaire's Mind. So I remember you saying at some point, Chris, I always follow what the leaders do. So I thought, well, I better read that book. So the first thing I did was buy that book and read it.
And what did you think?
It's a brilliant book, isn't it?
Brilliant. So practical. You know what you need to do? I don't know how many times you read it, but let's say you've read it once. Most people, they then go, oh, that's a great book, put it down and go somewhere else. What you need to do now that you've read it is to go back, get a piece of paper and a pen, or just, write in the book and study it, like underline things, exclamation, right, this week I'm going to do that. It's an amazing book. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you obviously enjoyed that, the workshop, and so you said the emphasis was on the mindset, and which we also believe is 80% of success, and the strategies. So which of the strategies did you latch onto the most?
It happened to be the BCA because which strategy did I latch onto the most? I felt that the BCA. I felt that I could only learn one at a time thoroughly, so that was my intention. It happened to be the VCA, and the markets were beginning to drop a bit, so there was lots of VCA which I could test in the demo account.
So you went on the demo account first, so this is really important, and I'm glad you did that, because of course we always advise people to do that. How long did you do that for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Are you a fast learner? Okay.
Well, yeah, I suppose you might say that.
Okay, so you did 2 weeks. What were your results on the demo, though? Because normally the VCA takes a little bit longer to play out, doesn't it?
Yeah, not particularly good actually, because oil was kept. Well, the VCA, part of VCA is that you're going to start to lose money as the asset drops. So, and that's exactly what happened in the demo account. So it didn't really become positive in the demo account until after that 2 weeks. So it's about a month later it began to be positive.
Well, that's not bad. 4 weeks to start making profits.
No. I mean, but after 2 weeks, I decided I knew what I was doing with the VCA, which is a bit cheeky of me, perhaps, but
a little bit. But anyway, you have confidence. It's the mindset. I love it. Okay, so yeah, that's fantastic. And so you decided to go live with real money?
I decided to go live with real money after 2 weeks because I could see where the markets were heading, which was down, which is ideal for the BCA strategy. So I had a certain amount of money in a spread betting account, and I thought I'd use that. I hadn't touched it for years and years. I mean, possibly 12 years. It'd just been sat there.
Oh, wow. Time to get that moving.
Well, I decided I needed an education before I did anything, basically, and so that's what occurred. And because I had that certain amount of money available,
good for you.
I thought I'd just test out a few of the assets that were in the VCA list.
So where did you get this VCA list from?
Oh, the VCA list is available from the Investment Mastery website.
Okay, so you got it for the trading club, basically.
Yeah, the trading club. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went through that list and chose what I thought were the best looking chart patterns, which were.
So how many did you choose roughly? Did you choose 2, 3, 4, 1?
I chose 5.
5. Okay.
Because that was the amount. The thing about a spread betting account, it's slightly different from a standard account in that it sort of has chunks of money that you can put on. You can't really split it up very finely, so it tended to be quite lumpy. But I chose 5, including copper and oil, and yeah. Okay,
brilliant. So what were the results, and how long did it take?
Well, initially, so I suppose you could say it's sort of a tester with these 5 assets. and they started to go down,
Good.
as they should in the VCA strategy. And then, unfortunately, they went too low, and I got a margin call because I didn't realise you're not supposed to have margin on the VCA. But then I was looking at all the webinars that you and Dennis have done in the trading club website, so that I kind of checked these things over to make sure I was doing things roughly well, completely right. Obviously, I followed the rules exactly, Marcus. And so I just followed the rules, did exactly what I was supposed to, saw that the assets were going down, and it was a bit of a nerve-wracking time, I have to be honest. But I kept meditating and reading Becker's book to keep my mindset
brilliant. Yeah.
And so I kind of was a bit nervous, well, more than a bit nervous, to be honest. But I kept reminding myself of things that you said and things that Dennis had said, and that kind of bolstered me up in my weakest moments.
Yes. Well, with the market, I mean, so you were really investing during a market crash.
Actually, the timing was, I invested in a market crash. The timing was incredible because I literally finished the course early March. I did the 2 weeks, very diligent study on the BCA strategy, and then when the market crash happened, it literally was after that 2 weeks.
Yes.
So everything was timed perfectly for me.
Perfectly, yeah.
Because I didn't have any other investments or anything at all, so I could put, if you like, as much resource as I could into what I was doing.
So what were the results?
Well, initially, as I said, they went down. The results were they went down for a while, possibly 2 or 3 weeks actually. And as I say, I had this margin call. It wasn't an actual margin call. It was just a warning that if it dropped too low, I'd need to either put more funds in or they'd close some positions. So then I decided to put more money in to cover the positions. I mean, they were on margin, which they shouldn't have been. So I just started drawing on all the resources I had, including, credit card and personal bank account, etc.
Well, you really went for it, didn't you? You really followed the rules, right? A lesser mortal might have gone, this isn't working, whatever.
Well,
but you decided to follow the rules.
I follow the rules is one of the most important things that kept running through my mind as I was doing this. And so as I put in more resources, put more money, let's face it, into the account, I saw that slowly but slowly the account was coming into the positive. And because I had more money in positions in the account, I decided to actually open up more positions. I made a list. I researched all the stocks and so on and ETFs as you're supposed to do, and looked, read up about them, and decided if I liked the chart pattern, if it was rising nice and steadily before the coronavirus drop, and I liked generally speaking, the way the management was running the stock, for instance, and I liked their approach to things and so on. So I did, relatively large amount of research. I would say I do research at work, so it kind of fell in quite naturally with my understanding of it. And the other thing was that I rather like high tech companies.
Okay.
Because it's kind of my background in a sense, computing and things like 5G, semiconductors and so on. I can kind of partially deal with them at work. So I found the research quite interesting for me. And it just kind of aligned with, people working from home and so on. So things like Shopify and others.
Great company.
Just seemed to fall in square. They just seemed to fall into place for me.
But what was the result though? The end result? Like, talk about percentages on your portfolio.
Okay, so finally I had 26 or so positions.
Okay.
And the percentages I've made up to a couple of days ago, well, that being Friday, that was about 70% or thereabouts of my account.
70% on your portfolio.
In 2 months.
That is extraordinary. That is
Well,
really...
this one of the other things I did actually, Marcus, was to write down some goals.
Okay.
So that was one of the first things I did, was to figure out what goals I was trying to achieve. So I aimed quite high, and I didn't quite meet my goal, to be honest. But I suppose.
Well, in 2 months.
I suppose 35% a month isn't bad, is it? Really?
I would say that was very good indeed. By the way, what did you hope to get out of trading and investing?
I hope to get out of trading investing a kind of let's say a bit of freedom from having to go to work. And actually, I was interested in doing the Forex course, but the guy I spoke to on the phone, whose name I can't remember, Dimitri, that was his name, lovely guy.
Yeah, he is lovely.
And I really wanted to do the Forex course because I've kind of studied it and done a lot of programming in the Forex world, but I haven't actually invested any money. Just done a lot of programming. So I was interested in doing the Forex course, but he kind of insisted I should do the stocks and shares. So
you know why he insists on that is because people think about Forex about 24. It's not 24/7. It's 24/5. And it moves, so you can make a lot of money. But I think that's the second step. The first step is, first of all, just to believe it or not, stocks are not as volatile. People always think stocks are volatile. They're not really compared to Forex, and definitely not compared to cryptocurrencies. I mean, that's real volatility,
Yeah.
But now you're ready for it. You're ready for it now. So that's really good. Okay, so you had certain goals, and you were very strong on the mindset.
Yes.
That's really very strong. That's wonderful. Are you still doing that? Are you still carrying on with the mindset?
Oh yeah, actually, there's an interesting thing. If I can talk about the mindset, to such an extent, I studied the neurofeedback. I don't know if you've heard about neurofeedback, but I remember it from way back in the 80s, perhaps. And I just was curious as to how things have progressed since then. And they have progressed enormously. Can I show you?
Yes, of course, yeah.
You might be interested.
Share your screen, by all means.
What we have here is a thing called Muse. It's in this little box here.
Okay.
And what it is, effectively, it's a research grade ECG.
Okay.
So what you do is, now I'm going to have to take off my headphones. It's a bit awkward with my glasses as well. So this is what you do. You put it on your head like that, and it's got pickups behind the ears and around here, and it's got a little LED here, and all of these things combine to be able to basically read your brain waves. It then links up to a smartphone, and you can run the app on it, and it will run you through these various programs related to what's going on here. It effectively helps you meditate, so that you can, your mindset is improved, one might say. So, yeah, it probably looks a little bit strange, but it's very effective, and I can sort of compare it to when I do my meditation.
How do you know it's effective? Is it a feeling or a result?
It's to do with I did the. Have you heard of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who taught Beatles to meditate?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, he's written some books. My sister was a meditation teacher.
Oh, okay.
And he translated the original Vedic texts into English, so that it brought the ancient, they called it science of the mind, into the Western world. And that was his mission, was to teach people to meditate, because it makes people more effective. It makes people less nervous, but but basically they taught American
More
pilots.
grounded, more centered. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually more effective. They taught US pilots to
Okay.
meditate because it improved their
Yeah,
reaction
they need to be
times.
extremely focused when the time's right, don't they?
Yeah, so
But that's
it
just like
helped.
trading as well. You need to be very focused when, not always,
Absolutely.
but when you do. How many minutes would you say you spend a day, honestly, on trading and investing?
To be honest, actually, putting positions on them, not very much, obviously, but a lot of research, I'd say, for
You like
me.
research?
But then I enjoy it. To me, it's just an enjoyable activity, and so it kind of all gelled for me. Like
Yeah.
it might not for everybody, but I really enjoyed researching the companies.
So what would you do? Would you do a couple of hours a day?
Probably, I mean, I'd be watching the markets most of the day. As I'm in furlough, I have got time. I had
Sure.
time, and I've
Sure.
got time.
But you're going to go back soon, aren't you? So what would you say? How long? How many minutes a day would you do?
Yeah, I'd aim to do 20 minutes a day.
20 minutes a day. You think it's possible?
I think it's possible. I mean,
I do as well. I think with the help of the trading club, just to give you a
yeah,
starter on things, I think it is possible.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of treated it more as an investment thing, which is the VCA strategy.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I
Are
was
you going? Are you going to go on to the other one? Are you going to go into Buffalo at some stage?
I'm kind of looking at it at the moment.
Good.
I mean, it's a bit awkward having to, because I've got to go back to my dad in 5 days' time. So time is a bit sort of, hither and thither. But yes, I definitely.
Talking of family, right? Have they supported you in this? Were they always like, yeah, go for it, or?
That's quite interesting because I kind of knew what the reaction would be initially. It's what the hell were you doing that for? Because my dad, for instance, he's had some success, but I mean the latest round of the coronavirus hitting, he invested a lot into Saga.
Oh.
And he lost a significant amount of relatively a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
As it dropped, and instead of holding on, he sold. But I wasn't really in a position to offer any advice because it's an individual thing.
It is, but that's what most people do, of course. When markets go down, knee-jerk reaction, sell.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, on the other hand, he sold, but he sold so he can buy again at the bottom. And that's the missing piece that most people don't do. They have a knee-jerk reaction, right?
Yeah.
So it's half right if you have a strategy, but a knee-jerk reaction isn't a strategy, is it?
No, not at all.
No.
But,
and so they said, what the hell are you doing? And then?
Well, eventually he kind of conceded that it was, he was glad that I'd made some money at it. But, after the initial discussion, nothing's been mentioned except rather bizarrely, all he's worried about is the fact that I'm spending £200 a month on my Barclaycard account in interest. And I just thought this morning, perhaps I should say to him, Dad, I've made, X amount of pounds. And, because if you've got a 3 or 4% variation in a day, which is quite feasible on my whole account, 3 or 4% per day, as it goes up and down, it's a change of maybe, let's say, £1,000 per day, up and down, that I face, as I'm looking at it.
Are you when you're going to get out of your positions though? Have you raised your stop loss yet?
I haven't actually. I haven't raised my stop loss, no, because it's an interesting point. Because initially I had stop losses, and then I thought, well, if the position's entirely covered and I'm convinced it's going to go up rather than go down, I'll dispense with the stop loss and just let it.
I think because it's gone up so much, I think you need to look at each position on its own merits. But when it falls below a recent peak, I think you should get out, even if it's just 50%, so that you still have that upside if it does go up. But at least you've taken some money off the table because it's gone up quite a bit. And I think the next, the results when they come out are going to be shocking.
Yeah. yeah.
You can always buy back.
It's all, yeah. It's always a difficult thing. I'm sort of thinking of lightening. I tend to lighten up a bit when they rise, up to their peak. And but I was kind of thinking as an investment, hanging on to them.
Well, but don't forget, we're not teaching you how to buy and hold. So you don't want to go, oh, look, yes, and that's what most people do, right? So now that you're up 70%, it's definitely time to start, taking some profits. Milk that cow.
Right.
And look at the swings, look at the chart patterns as well. Look at the swing of it, because at some stage, even if they are great companies, they do have to go down. That's just the nature of it. So just use a natural high, get out. You can always buy back when it goes to its natural low.
Yeah. Okay.
And don't be scared of doing that at all.
Okay. It's I suppose because it's the first time I've done things like this. I kind of don't quite know what to do. I mean, it's sort of, for me, the important thing was getting into positions and making some money. And I was very, very aware of the risk element. So I was continually working out the risk individually and for the whole account, so that I could maximize my chances. If that makes any sense. So I tended to.
Sure. But Chris, I tell you that I can't tell you what to do, but I will tell you, do consider now, because you've had a good run. Yeah. There's plenty of other things that are down that you could be getting into. And the things that are up now, they'll come down again. Even when they go up like this, don't they? So once they reach a kind of height, just pull the trigger, because you don't want to be fully invested. You've made 70%. The next thing is, you're down 70%.
Yeah. Okay. Point taken. I was a bit cheeky with cryptos as well.
Oh, I want to talk to you about cryptos, because that's where we're making a lot of money, because the volatility is just superb, isn't it? Go on. What are you doing?
I literally just bought them as the market.
So just to get into the market, okay?
Yeah.
And now?
So they're up a bit, but actually most of the positions I've got, even on the cryptos, I've actually taken profit from almost all of the positions I've had.
Oh, well done.
And then bought in lower.
Yes, because it just does. It just goes up and down, doesn't it?
And obviously, I couldn't do that. I could.
Which are you going to use the RSI strategy that we teach, the RSI contrarian momentum strategy on Bitcoin, is so good. So have a look at that. Are you part of the club?
No, I'm not. No, I haven't done cryptos.
So we did 139% on the entire portfolio. I think it's worth having a look at that, really. And then, go on.
Yeah, sorry, cryptos. But I signed up for the Forex course, which is now been brought back to October.
Sure.
So I was going to, maybe take things one step at a time. Do the Forex, and then after that maybe crypto.
That isn't until October. What I would do if I were you is in the meantime, you still need to do the Buffalo, but if you do have space between now and October, get into cryptos, because I don't know, because of the halvening between 6 months and 18 months, that's when the big moves come. We've already been in a bear market for over 2.5 years, which is quite long. So therefore, we are looking for that next bull market. The institutions are coming. Have you seen my video on? The 7 reasons why. I wouldn't. Well, you are in. It's fine. But in the meantime, we can be milking the cow.
Yeah. I haven't really done that, I must admit, with cryptos, because with halvening, I just sort of vested and.
Fine.
I have gone in and out of Bitcoin.
That's good.
Ethereum, with Ethereum and Ripple as well.
Yeah, I mean, people love Ripple. They really do love Ripple, because I was always told by one of my mentors that the company that's going to be the bridge between the incumbents and the new world, they're going to make a lot of money. And Ripple is that. They're working with over 200 banks. The latest one, a company called Bank of America. It's a huge company. and of course Ethereum has tremendous upside because it's at $200 and it was at 1,400, whereas Bitcoin is the most solid, but of course it's at 8,000, 9,000, and it was at 20,000. So you can see that Ethereum has got a huge upside, and so has Ripple, to be fair. But when people come in, they're going to go for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right, those are the two they're going to go for. So when the institutions come in, they are the two likely ones. Could they get some XRP? Maybe, but those are the two that they're going to go for, and that's going to push up the price the most.
Right.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So your dad's on board now?
I don't think so, really. I don't think so.
I think that's parents, isn't it?
I tried to explain, you need education when he was talking about his losses.
Cool.
And I don't know.
How does he know how to drive? He had to learn how to do that. It's the same, but
yeah. He's very sort of set in his ways. I mean, after that initial thing, when I sort of, because the thing was, he's actually helping me out during this crisis. He's giving me so much a month, not an amount per month, and so he feels he's got a say in my financial affairs. And of course, if the thing was, when I was initially doing this and taking money out of the Barclay card account and so on to put into positions, I was thinking, oh my God, I hope my dad doesn't ever find out about this because it'll kill me.
Yeah, I do. Again, I'm going to reiterate this again, third time, so that it really makes the point. You do need to raise your stop loss. And by the way, by doing that, it could carry on. Yeah. It's not like you're taking it, right? It could carry on, but if it falls, at least you're out.
Yeah.
I think now's a really good time to do that. I mean, we're starting to look at shorting much more, and we're starting to look at buying reverse ETFs much more. So I think now is a really good time.
Okay.
And place the stop loss. So if it carries on going up, it's a win-win situation. Let's do it.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect. That's awesome. Let me know how it goes. Thank you for your time. If there's anybody here who is thinking about learning, maybe even with investment mastery, what message do you have for them, Chris?
If someone's thinking of learning or getting educated in trading and investing, I really don't see any other, and I've studied these things for a long time, I don't see any other possibility that investment mastery is the best of the best. I mean, the approach adopted is just so thorough, and the emphasis on the mindset is so important. And as I found out when I was down, you've got to have a strong, confident mindset. Otherwise, you just won't be able to handle it. Basically,
even when it's part of the strategy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of amazed, but I kept looking at the webinars, and there was a point where, in fact, I think on the course I did, where you said, things will get a bit tough at times as your account goes down with the BCA strategy. And of course, that's exactly what I found. So, everything was exactly as you said. So,
Well, and then part of it's not just teaching you what to do; it's teaching you what my experience is. For over 20 years, and the mistakes that I made, and learning from those. What about the support? Are you enjoying the support?
Yeah, I mean, I like having the webinar on the Monday. I normally go to it. I haven't put many questions to it, but it's always interesting to see how other people are reacting.
Yeah.
And
but don't forget, you need to share your story, and I'll tell you why. Because people need that inspiration. Just imagine if, like, when you were down and somebody said to you, listen, I was down as well, but I just stuck with it, and now I'm up 70%, you'd go, it all helps, doesn't it? The book, the mindset, the meditation, somebody else, proof,
Yeah. About the testimonial, I've put one onto Trustpilot.
Oh, thank you.
Because I think it was Matt I was speaking to.
Right.
And I was, had been thinking about it, but in the early days, of course, I just didn't know what was going on, really, if you know what I mean.
I do.
And then
you're pushing buttons, not really knowing what you're doing.
Well,
thank goodness for demo accounts.
Yeah, it's not really not knowing what I was doing or what's the end result. Because you have no idea when you're in
Yeah.
the midst of it, what the end result will be. You know, because it could have all just gone wrong. I mean, I could have lost everything, but I didn't. So
it's not likely. These strategies are pretty proven.
yeah.
They're
So
pretty proven. Yeah.
I guess I think everything just happened to be right for me. I had the education, which really helped in all sorts of ways, and it's just so invaluable to have that background knowledge.
Yeah.
That you know, you're doing the right thing.
How much profit did you actually make in not percentages, because that was 70%, but how much money profit have you actually made?
So the original account. Well, let me just, you know, very briefly. I had £2,000 in the original spread betting account, and I got 5 positions from the VCA list in the trading club. Then, as I put more money in, I opened up more trades and ended up putting in 15,500. Well, having a total account value of 15,500.
Right.
And that went up to at a maximum of about 27,000.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So from around 15,000 to 27,000.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So about 12 grand.
But I have to say, I did make some mistakes. So I put.
That's with making mistakes. Of course, you made mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, you know, as you learn. It's early days here, isn't it?
But I mean, a fantastic experience, Marcus, and I really thank you immensely for sort of giving me the education that I needed. Because, as I say, I traded years ago, probably 20, 25 years ago, possibly, and just lost money. And I decided I wouldn't do anything until I had a proper education. And lo and behold, I'm absolutely over the moon, really, with the results.
Fantastic.
Thanks to you and the guys.
Yes, the team is amazing, isn't it? They just want to help.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm really thankful that you took action, and massive action if you think about it.
Yeah.
Right? There was a point, because you got it. You can thank me. Thank you. But you need to understand that it was you that, when it came to the crunch, you said, right, I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to put more money in. It could have gone the other way. You could have just gone, oh, a knee-jerk reaction, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good. You're not your father.
I mean,
you're your own person.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a very unique experience. It was a very unique experience, you know, that I feel everything sort of fell into place. I mean, the research I did, companies I got, and everything else. But with the confidence of having that education, it's a completely different ballgame. Yeah. You know, it changes your whole outlook, and I felt confident most of the time that I was doing the right thing.
Good. Knowledge is definitely power, especially when it comes to money. No doubt. No doubt. What to do when things are going well, but also what to do when things aren't going well. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Good. Well, listen, thank you very much. And we look forward to continuing our journey and making sure that you continue yours. And if there's anything we can do, please do let us know, obviously.
I will do, Marcus. And thank you again. And I'm sure we'll meet again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.